All right, in this explainer, we're gonna pull back the curtain on a really sinister form of psychological control. It's a strategy where that amazing feeling of stability, well, it isn't a gift. It's actually a trap, and it's designed to be sprung when you least expect it. You experienced an intense period of protection and certainty, only to have that security vanish, plunging you into chaos and self-doubt. Why did the stability feel so real, yet prove so temporary? Well, that question leads us right to the dark psychological paradox of safety hoarding. You see, it's a calculated investment in future control. The whole point is to make you feel completely safe just so they can weaponize that security against you down the road. Okay, so first up, let's really dig into what we're calling the stability paradox. This is the bedrock of the entire strategy. It's what makes the whole thing so brutally effective. So what is safety hoarding? At its core, it's this incredibly sneaky strategy. The whole idea is to create a massive, jarring contrast between this fake, manufactured safety and then suddenly devastating chaos. That psychological whiplash you feel, that's not a side effect, it's the entire point. It's engineered to force you to comply and to make you deeply, cripplingly dependent. So this whole thing plays out in two totally opposite phases. First, you've got phase one, the hoarding. This is where the manipulator carefully builds this illusion of perfect safety, making themselves the center of your universe. But then comes phase two, the withdrawal. And this is where that safety is just violently ripped away, and it's replaced with chaos, isolation, and this just unbearable feeling of loss. The real power of this trick is in that extreme, dizzying contrast between the two. And the goal? Well, it's brutally simple. Compliance. They want to make sure you never, ever challenge them. Never set a boundary, never try to be independent. And they do this by weaponizing something deep inside all of us, loss aversion. See, as humans, we are literally wired to feel the pain of a loss way more intensely, like twice as intensely as the pleasure of a gain. They give you something amazing just so the pain of taking it away becomes the perfect weapon. Now, let's get into the setup phase, the hoarding strategy. This is the slow, methodical part where the trap is built piece by piece, and it's almost always disguised as love and protection. So the heart of the setup is all about your foundational safety. The absolute pillars of your life. Your money, your home, your friends, even your self-worth. The manipulator's game is to systematically take away your ability to provide these for yourself and move them completely under their control. Your safety isn't something you create anymore, it's something they give you. Your sense of control, it shifts from being inside you to being dangerously outside of you. So what kind of stuff gets hoarded? Well, it's everything. It's the tangible things like taking over your finances because, they're just better with money. It's isolating you from your friends and family, telling you they're bad for you. But it's also the intangible things. They become your one and only source for emotional validation until their approval feels like oxygen. They might even get control over your job or where you live. Every single one of these becomes another lever they can pull whenever they want. Okay, so we've seen the setup. Now, how does this trick actually work? Let's break down the three-stage process, this predictable pattern that just unfolds once the trap is ready. It all boils down to three predictable stages. First, you've got the security seizure, where they gather up all those resources. Second, the punitive withdrawal. That's the shocking moment they pull the rug out from under you. And third, compulsive compliance, which is that desperate, panicked reaction they've been counting on you to have. Now, this is the really insidious part about stage one. During the security seizure, you don't feel like a victim at all. You actually feel incredibly safe, protected, maybe even grateful. This person seems like a savior, the only one who really has your back. And that powerful illusion is critical because it cements them as the single source of your well-being, which just perfectly primes you for the intense pain that's about to come. And then, bam, stage two hits. The punitive withdrawal. This isn't random. It happens the second you do something they don't like. Maybe you assert a tiny boundary or question a decision. The response isn't a conversation. It's an immediate, total, and punishing removal of all that safety they've built up. The money's cut off, the silent treatment starts, the threats begin. It's sudden, it's shocking, and it's designed to cause the most psychological pain possible. This is the trap springing shut. And that absolute tidal wave of pain, it leads right into stage three, compulsive compliance. The sheer panic and terror of losing everything, your financial security, your emotional anchor, your home, it just consumes you. It completely bypasses rational thought. Your only mission is to make the pain stop. So you apologize, you take back the boundary, you do whatever it takes to get them to give that safety back. And when they do, the lesson is brutally learned. Defiance leads to annihilation, compliance leads to relief. So what is going on inside their head, and why are we so vulnerable to this? Let's open up the playbook and really understand the motivations and vulnerabilities that are driving this whole devastating dynamic. On one side of the coin, you've got the manipulator. Their goals are maximum leverage and zero resistance. Plus, your fear and panic. That actually feeds them, something called narcissistic supply. On the other side, you've got the target's vulnerabilities. And these are universal things, our basic human need for safety and our powerful hardwired aversion to loss. It's a perfect storm where their goals directly exploit our deepest needs and fears. The thing that makes this so powerful is something called the emotional contrast effect. Think about it. Going from feeling completely safe and cared for 1 minute to absolute chaos and terror the next, it makes that negative state feel so much worse than it normally would. It doesn't just feel like a bad day, it feels like an existential threat. Your brain goes into full-blown survival mode with just one mission: get safety back, no matter the cost. Okay, understanding the trick is one thing, but now for the most important part. How do you get out? How do you defend yourself? This next section is all about reclaiming your stability and taking your power back. The good news is the defense is just as systematic as the attack. It comes down to 3 key actions. First, you have to do a resource audit to see exactly where they have control. Second, you have to assert unconditional safety. That's a huge mindset shift. And third, the hardest but most courageous step, you have to refuse the restoration when that withdrawal happens. All right, let's talk about the resource audit. This is you, proactively taking your power back piece by piece. You need to map out every single area where they've centralized control and start building your own independent sources. Open a separate bank account, even if you just put a little bit in. Reconnect with your own friends. Invest in your own hobbies and skills, things that are just for you. Get your own legal advice. Every single step you take to decentralize their control is a step towards dismantling their weapon. Now, what about when that withdrawal happens, when the panic is setting in? You need an anchor. And this statement, this is it. You have to repeat it to yourself over and over. I am safe because my security is not contingent on your approval. This pulls you back to the new reality you're building, not the chaos they're creating. It shifts your focus from their external power back to your own internal strength. This right here, this is the final, most powerful move. When they pull everything away, you have to refuse to play the game. Instead of begging for them to bring this safety back, you have to see the withdrawal for what it really is. A factual statement that this relationship is fundamentally toxic. It's not a negotiation tactic you need to respond to. It is the final, undeniable proof of the truth. And accepting that painful truth is what will set you free. Okay, we have gone deep into the what, the how, and the why of safety hoarding, and we've laid out the path to reclaiming your power. Let's bring it all home with one final empowering takeaway. So if you remember nothing else, remember this. Safety hoarding is the trick where they make you feel safe just to pull it away later. That initial security was never real. It was an investment in your future compliance. That kindness was just a down payment on your future fear. You've seen the pattern, right? First, the security seizure. That creates the dependence. Then that sets the stage for maximum impact. We call that loss priming. And finally, the intense pain of that withdrawal is what forces the compulsive compliance, locking you right back into the cycle. But here's the thing. Just knowing this, awareness, it breaks the whole loop. Once you see the trick, the magic is gone. By systematically doing that resource audit, you take away their levers of control. By asserting unconditional safety, you build a foundation inside yourself that they can't shake. You are actively taking your stability back. And that really is the ultimate truth here. The entire strategy of safety hoarding depends on you having no other source of security. So the moment you start to build your own stability, financially, socially, emotionally, their primary weapon becomes completely useless. It's rendered obsolete. Your independence isn't just a nice goal to have, it's the antidote.